Hey everyone, I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these posts. I've read so many stories like this, shaking my head, thinking, damn, that sucks, but never once did I think I'd be living it. Yet here I am. Let me start by saying that my wife, let's call her Lisa, and I have been married for 6 years. We had what I thought was a solid relationship, passionate at times, routine at others, but mostly good. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Looking back, the signs were probably there, but I ignored them. The late-night work meetings, the sudden obsession with how she looked, the way she started locking her phone when she never did before. But the biggest red flag? She suddenly started spending a lot of time with my brother, Jason. Now, Jason and I have always been close. He's my younger brother, the golden child, the one who always had things handed to him. I was the responsible one, the one who had to work twice as hard to get half as much. But I loved him. He was my brother. And I never would have suspected him of betraying me like this. At first, I didn't think much of it. Lisa and Jason always got along, but recently, it was different. She'd laugh a little too hard at his jokes. He'd get a little too comfortable around her. One night, I came home from work, and they were sitting on the couch together, whispering. The second I walked in, they jumped apart like I had caught them doing something. I should have asked questions right then and there. I should have confronted her. But I was an idiot. Instead, I made excuses. I convinced myself I was overthinking things. I was wrong. After that night, things only got weirder. Lisa became an expert at dodging questions. If I asked where she'd been, she'd get defensive. If I asked why she was suddenly texting Jason so much, she'd roll her eyes and say, "Oh my God, you're being paranoid." But the thing that really messed with my head? Jason started acting weird too. He stopped hanging out with me as much. He'd cancel plans at the last minute, mumbling some excuse about work or being tired. I shrugged it off at first, people get busy, right? Then, the business trips started. Lisa never used to travel for work. Now, suddenly, she had 2 client meetings out of town in the same month. She claimed she was staying at a hotel, but something felt off. The night before her second trip, I saw her packing lingerie. Lisa never wore lingerie for me anymore. That's when the first real suspicion hit me like a punch to the gut. I wanted to believe I was overreacting. I wanted to trust her. But deep down, I already knew the truth. I just didn't have proof. I told myself I was being crazy. That I was just paranoid. But paranoia doesn't explain the pit in your stomach that doesn't go away. So, I did something I never thought I'd do, I checked Lisa's phone. She was in the shower, humming like she didn't have a care in the world, while I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone like it was a ticking bomb. My hands were shaking. I knew once I looked, there was no going back. The lock screen had a new notification. A message from Jason. "Can't wait to see you again, babe. Last night was amazing." I stopped breathing. My own brother. I opened their conversation. My worst nightmare was spelled out in texts and photos I never wanted to see. Lisa's voice called from the bathroom. "Babe, can you grab me a towel?" I put the phone down, stood up, and stared at the closed bathroom door. My heart was pounding. My hands were fists. This wasn't just cheating. This was betrayal at the deepest level. I had my proof. Now, what was I going to do with it? I stood there, phone in hand, staring at the bathroom door. My mind raced with 1,000 thoughts, each one angrier than the last. I could hear Lisa humming, completely unaware that the walls she built with lies were about to come crashing down. "Babe, where's my towel?" she called again, her voice light, carefree. I took a deep breath, walked over, and opened the door just enough to toss the towel inside. I didn't say a word. Just stood there for a second, watching as she grabbed it, completely oblivious to the storm that was about to hit. I walked back into the bedroom, sat down, and waited. A minute later, Lisa strolled out, towel wrapped around her body, shaking water from her hair like nothing in the world was wrong. When she saw my face, she paused. "What?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. I held up her phone. Watched her eyes widen for just a split second before she masked it with an unconvincing laugh. "Why are you going through my phone? You wanna explain this?" I asked, my voice low, controlled. I turned the screen so she could see the message from Jason. Her face paled. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. That's not what it looks like." I scoffed. "Really? Because it looks exactly like my wife screwing my brother behind my back." She let out a sharp breath and crossed her arms. "Okay, fine. We've been talking. But it's not what you think." I laughed bitterly. "Oh, so you just call my brother, babe, for fun?" Lisa rolled her eyes, like I was the one being unreasonable. "You're overreacting." I could feel my blood boiling. "Overreacting? Lisa, I just read messages where you were talking about how amazing last night was. Was that just a friendly dinner? A Bible study?" She didn't have an answer for that. Instead, she turned the tables. "Well, maybe if you weren't so distant all the time, I wouldn't have needed to talk to someone else." Ah. There it was. The classic cheater's excuse, make it my fault. I stared at her, at this woman I had loved, at this woman I had trusted. And for the first time, I didn't feel love. I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt something colder. "You disgust me," I muttered, standing up. Lisa's eyes flared with anger. "Oh, please. Like you're some perfect husband. You're always working, always distracted. What did you expect me to do?" I clenched my jaw. Not sleep with my brother would have been a great start. For the first time, she looked a little nervous. Like she was starting to realize just how badly she had screwed up. But I wasn't done yet. Lisa's eyes darted around the room like a cornered animal. She was scrambling, trying to find a way out of this, but there wasn't one. I could almost see the gears turning in her head before she took a deep breath and rolled her shoulders back. "Okay," she said, forcing a calm tone. "Let's just talk about this." I crossed my arms. "Oh. Now you want to talk?" "Yes. Because this," she gestured at the phone still clutched in my hand, "this isn't what you think. Jason and I," she hesitated, searching for words. "It just happened. I didn't plan it. I didn't mean for it to happen." I scoffed. "Right. Because people just accidentally end up naked together." Lisa flinched but quickly recovered. "It was a mistake. A one-time thing." I shook my head. "Try again." She looked genuinely offended. "Why are you being so?" I cut her off by scrolling down on the screen. "Should I read this message out loud? You know, the one where you say you can't wait to see him again. Doesn't sound like a one-time thing to me." Lisa's face went pale. I let out a bitter laugh. "You know what's funny? I had doubts. I wanted to believe you. But no, you kept lying. Even now, when I literally have proof in my hand, you're still trying to gaslight me." She exhaled sharply, clearly realizing that her usual manipulation tactics weren't working. "Fine," she snapped. "Yes. I've been seeing Jason. But it's not because I don't love you. I do. It's just," she trailed off, biting her lip. "It's just what?" I demanded. Lisa hesitated, then went for the lowest blow possible. "It's just that he gives me attention. He makes me feel wanted. You've been so distant lately." There it was. Again. The classic, "it's your fault I cheated," excuse. I let out a dry, humorless laugh. So let me get this straight. I work my ass off, put food on the table, make sure you have everything you need, and that makes me a bad husband? Lisa threw her hands in the air. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I felt lonely. And Jason, she hesitated but then went all in, he was there for me. I clenched my jaw. Of course, he was. He was there to destroy his own brother's marriage. She didn't reply. Because what could she say? There was no way to justify this. I took a deep breath, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. You know what, Lisa? I think we're done talking. I turned and headed for the door. Behind me, Lisa's voice wavered. Wait, where are you going? I didn't turn back. To find my brother. I stormed out of the house, barely able to think straight. My hands were shaking, my breath coming in sharp bursts. My own brother. I still couldn't wrap my head around it. Jason had always been the golden child growing up. The charming one, the one people naturally gravitated toward. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one. The one who made sacrifices. And now? Now he had this over me, too. I needed to see him. I drove to his apartment, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my fingers ached. When I pulled up, I barely remembered the drive over. I pounded on his door. Nothing. I knocked again, harder. Jason, open the damn door. A few seconds later, I heard footsteps. Then the door cracked open just a little, like he wasn't sure if he should actually let me in. The moment I saw his face, my anger surged all over again. Jason's expression was unreadable. Hey, man. His voice was cautious. Like he was the victim here. I shoved the door open and stepped inside. Don't, hey, man, me. You know exactly why I'm here. Jason sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. Look, No. You don't get to look me, Jason. I stepped closer. You don't get to talk your way out of this. You were sleeping with my wife. My wife, Jason. My voice cracked, but I didn't care. Jason exhaled and shook his head. I didn't mean for it to happen. I laughed bitterly. Oh, that's funny. Because that's exactly what Lisa said. He had the audacity to look guilty. I know, man. I messed up. Messed up? I repeated. That's what you call it. Jason sighed again, this time more impatiently. What do you want me to say? How about the truth? I shot back. How long has this been going on? He hesitated just a little too long. I clenched my jaw. How long? Jason finally looked at me. A few months. My stomach dropped. I had been played for months. My own brother, sneaking around with my wife behind my back. All the family dinners, all the conversations, all the times I had trusted him, he had been laughing at me the whole time. I took a step back, suddenly feeling sick. Jason must have seen the shift in my face because he quickly added, I swear, man, it wasn't planned. It just. Stop, I cut him off. Just stop. I turned toward the door. Jason's voice was low. Are you gonna tell Mom and Dad? I spun around so fast he actually took a step back. You're worried about them. You weren't worried about them when you were screwing your brother's wife. Jason looked away. I don't know what to say. I shook my head. Good. Because I don't want to hear another word from you. I turned back around and left, slamming the door behind me. I had no idea what I was going to do next. I drove aimlessly for a while, my mind a whirlwind of anger, betrayal, and pure disbelief. I had just walked out of my brother's apartment, leaving him standing there like the coward he was. I wanted to punch something, him, preferably, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. Instead of heading home, I pulled into an empty parking lot and just sat there. The reality of everything was sinking in now, hitting me like a freight train. My wife, the woman I had built a life with, had been sneaking around with my brother for months. Every late-night work meeting, every mysterious phone call, every damn time she told me she loved me, it was all a lie. And Jason, my own blood. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. How do you even process something like this? There's no handbook for finding out that two of the closest people in your life have completely destroyed your trust. My phone buzzed in the passenger seat. I glanced over. Lisa. I let it ring. Then another text. Lisa, we need to talk. Please come home. I wasn't ready to see her yet. I wasn't sure if I'd ever be ready. But at the same time, I knew I couldn't avoid this forever. With a deep breath, I started the car and headed back to the house. The moment I walked in, Lisa was waiting for me. She looked like a mess, hair disheveled, face blotchy from crying. Part of me wanted to believe she actually felt remorse, but another part of me knew better. She took a step forward. I thought you weren't coming back. Believe me, I said coldly, I considered it. She winced, then hesitated before speaking again. Can we just talk? I crossed my arms. Oh, now you want to talk? Now that you got caught? Lisa sighed. I know you're angry. I let out a bitter laugh. Angry? No, Lisa. Angry was before I found out you've been screwing my brother behind my back. She flinched at my words but didn't argue. I never wanted to hurt you. Yet here we are. She bit her lip, then finally whispered, do you even want to know why? I stared at her, my heart pounding. Did I? Would knowing why actually change anything? But against my better judgment, I nodded. Lisa took a shaky breath. I don't have some grand excuse, okay? I didn't plan this. But you and I, we haven't been us for a while now. And Jason, he was there. He made me feel wanted. I shook my head in disgust. So what? You just decided that instead of talking to me, you'd go behind my back with him? I don't know, she whispered. I don't know what I was thinking. I could feel the rage bubbling up inside me again. Did you ever plan on telling me? She didn't answer right away. That told me everything I needed to know. I exhaled sharply. You know what, Lisa? I don't even care anymore. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? I said, my voice firm, I'm done. She stepped forward quickly, panic in her expression. Wait, can we try to fix this? I laughed bitterly. Fix this? Lisa, there is no fixing this. Tears welled in her eyes, but I was past the point of caring. For the first time that night, I felt certain about what I needed to do. Lisa's face crumpled when I said there was no fixing this. A part of me, the part that still remembered the woman I married, felt a pang of guilt at seeing her so broken. But then I reminded myself, she did this to us. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Don't, I said, my voice cold. You don't get to play the victim here. I know, she whispered, wiping at her tears. I know I messed up, but I love you, and I don't want to lose you. I scoffed. Funny way of showing it. She winced, but I didn't care. Did you even think about me? I continued, my anger bubbling back up. Or were you just hoping I'd never find out? She hesitated. That was answer enough. I shook my head. You didn't think. You didn't care. Tears streamed down her face now. I do care. Not enough. She let out a shaky breath. What happens now? I exhaled slowly, trying to keep my emotions in check. I don't know. But I sure as hell can't stay here with you. Lisa's eyes widened. Wait, are you leaving? I nodded. I can't even look at you right now. Her voice cracked. Please, don't do this. Let's talk, let's go to counseling. I let out a bitter laugh. Counseling? Lisa, counseling is for couples who are struggling. Not for wives who sleep with their husband's brother. She flinched. It was a mistake. No, a mistake is forgetting to pick up milk from the store. This? I gestured between us. This was a choice, one you made over and over. She had no argument for that. I grabbed my keys and turned toward the door. Lisa's voice was barely above a whisper. Where are you going? I paused for a moment before answering. Somewhere that isn't here. And with that, I walked out. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. My hands gripped the wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My mind was racing, replaying every moment, every sign I'd ignored. The late nights, the sudden interest in my brother's life, the way she had been pulling away from me emotionally but had no problem being close to him. I was such an idiot. I pulled into an empty parking lot and just sat there, staring at the dashboard. The reality of it all was hitting me in waves. I felt anger, sadness, betrayal, sometimes all at once. The worst part was that I had nowhere to go. This wasn't just about Lisa. My brother had done this too. My own blood. I clenched my jaw. I needed answers. Before I could overthink it, I pulled out my phone and dialed my brother's number. It rang. Once. Twice. Then he picked up. Hey, man. His voice was casual, like nothing was wrong. Something inside me snapped. Don't, hey, man, me, you piece of shit. There was silence on the other end. Then a sigh. You know, don't you? My grip tightened on the phone. Yeah. I know. More silence. I could hear him breathing, like he was debating what to say. You're my brother, I spat. How the hell could you do this to me? I didn't mean for it to happen. I laughed bitterly. That's the best you've got? You didn't mean to sleep with my wife. He sighed again. Look, I messed up, okay. But Lisa and it wasn't just some fling. That was the worst part. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing the rage to stay down. Do you love her? I asked. He hesitated. I don't know. I nearly threw my phone. Jesus Christ, you don't even know. It's complicated. I scoffed. No, it's really not. You're a lying, backstabbing bastard, and she's a cheating liar. That's all there is to it. He had nothing to say to that. Finally, I exhaled sharply. I never want to see you again. I get it, he said quietly. Good. I hung up. But even after I ended the call, the betrayal still sat heavy in my chest. I had just lost my wife and my brother in the same night. After hanging up on my brother, I just sat there in the parking lot, staring at my phone. My hands were shaking, my pulse was pounding in my ears. I had expected anger from him, or maybe some pathetic excuse, but that weird resignation in his voice. Like he knew it was inevitable that I'd find out. That messed with me. I was exhausted. Emotionally, mentally, hell, even physically. I felt like I had been hit by a truck. But I knew one thing, I wasn't going home. Not while she was there. Instead, I called my best friend, Jason. He picked up on the second ring. Yo, what's up, man? I swallowed, trying to steady my voice. I need a place to crash. There was a beat of silence. Then Jason, in a more serious tone, said, You okay? No, I admitted. Lisa's been cheating on me. With my brother. I'm gonna kill them. That actually made me laugh. A short, bitter one, but a laugh nonetheless. "Get in line." "Where are you?" he asked. "Some random parking lot." "Send me your location." "I'll meet you there." I exhaled, relieved. "Thanks, man. Always." 15 minutes later, Jason pulled up next to me. As soon as I got into his car, he handed me a bottle of whiskey. "You're gonna need this." I took it without hesitation and downed a burning mouthful. "I don't even know what to do, man." Jason shook his head. "There's only one thing to do. You get out. You divorce her. You make her regret it." I stared out the window. "It's not that easy. Dude." He turned to look at me. "She screwed your brother. In your own damn house. That's unforgivable." I knew he was right. But some messed up part of me still wanted answers. Still wanted closure. I rubbed my hands over my face. I need to go back. Not to talk to her, but to get my stuff. I can't leave her in my house like she owns the place. Jason nodded. "Then let's go get your stuff." I took another long swig of whiskey. This was going to be a nightmare. We drove back to the house, both of us in a tense silence, the only sound being the hum of the engine and the occasional crunch of gravel beneath the tires. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to walk into something I couldn't undo. When we got to the house, Jason turned to me. "You want me to go in first?" "No, I need to face this," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I had to do this myself. We walked up to the door. I grabbed the doorknob, almost surprised at how normal it felt. How mundane. As if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. My entire world was shifting beneath me, and I was about to confront the woman who'd torn it all apart. I opened the door. And there they were. Lisa, sitting on the couch, sipping a glass of wine, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit her. And then there was my brother, Chris, lounging on the armrest, his legs stretched out in front of him. He looked too comfortable. Too at home. My heart pounded, and every nerve in my body screamed at me to turn around and walk out. But I didn't. I took a step inside, slamming the door behind me. Lisa looked up, and her eyes went wide. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice far too calm for my liking. "I should be asking you that," I shot back. The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. Chris sat up, clearly startled. Lisa set her wine down with exaggerated slowness, almost like she was trying to buy herself time. I could barely control the rage boiling inside me. But I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me lose it. Not yet. "I saw the texts," I said, my voice low but steady. Her face went pale, and for a split second, I saw panic in her eyes. But she quickly masked it with a fake laugh. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice way too innocent. I pulled out my phone and showed her the evidence. The texts between her and Chris, the ones where they discussed meeting up at my house when I was away. The ones where they talked about their plans. Lisa's eyes widened, but she didn't try to deny it. She looked at Chris first, and then at me. "Chris, tell him," she said, almost pleadingly. Chris just stared at the floor, his face flushed. He didn't say a word. I could feel the anger bubbling up again, but this time, it was mixed with a kind of sadness. A deep, heavy ache in my chest. My own brother. The one person I thought would always have my back. Lisa, for her part, just shrugged. "I don't know what you want me to say. We were unhappy, and you weren't around." I felt like the ground had been ripped from under me. "Unhappy? Are you serious?" I laughed bitterly. "You're telling me that cheating on your husband with my brother was the solution to your unhappiness?" She rolled her eyes. "You're being dramatic." "Dramatic?" I repeated, disbelief creeping into my voice. You're sleeping with my brother, and I'm being dramatic. Jason, who had been standing in the doorway, stepped forward. You're not going to talk your way out of this, Lisa. You've been caught. You owe him answers, and you owe him an apology. Lisa shot him a glare, but Jason didn't back down. Chris shifted uncomfortably on the couch, finally speaking up. Look, man. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just. You didn't mean for it to happen. I cut him off, incredulous. You're my brother. You know what that means to me. But you went ahead and crossed that line. You crossed every line. Chris's face reddened, and he mumbled something about how he didn't want to hurt me. But his words felt hollow. Lisa stood up, crossing her arms defensively. We didn't know what else to do. You were always working, always gone. We needed something more. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This wasn't just betrayal, it was a twisted justification. They both acted like it was my fault. Like I had somehow driven them to do this. I was done. Enough. I turned to Jason, my voice firm. Let's go. As I walked out of the house, I could hear Lisa yelling something behind me, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. It was over. I couldn't even look at Jason as we left the house. I don't know if it was because I was so furious or because I was in shock, but everything felt like it was happening in slow motion. We got into his car, and for a long time, neither of us spoke. I just stared out the window, trying to wrap my mind around everything that had just happened. My whole life had been flipped upside down in the span of a few minutes. Lisa, the woman I'd married, the woman I had given my trust and love to, had betrayed me in the most profound way possible. And then there was Chris. My brother. The one person I thought would always have my back, the one person who knew everything about me. But instead of backing me up, he had torn everything down. I'm sorry, man, Jason said softly, breaking the silence. I don't even know what to say. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. It wasn't his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. But I still couldn't help feeling like my world had been shattered, and no one was going to be able to put the pieces back together. We pulled up to a hotel. I couldn't go back to that house, not yet. I needed time. Space. So, Jason took me to a place where I could clear my head. I spent the night thinking. Mostly in circles, trying to find some kind of meaning in everything. But the truth was, there wasn't any. It was just a betrayal, cold, unfeeling, and final. The next day, I called a lawyer. I knew what I had to do. I couldn't go back to Lisa, not after this. It wasn't just the cheating, it was everything that led up to it. The lies, the manipulation, the way she tried to paint herself as the victim. It was all too much. I filed for divorce. I didn't want to drag it out any longer than necessary. And then there was Chris. The hardest part of this entire mess wasn't losing Lisa, it was losing my brother. We had a long conversation. At first, I didn't want to hear anything he had to say, but eventually, I let him speak. He apologized. He told me that it wasn't something he'd planned. That it just happened, and he didn't know how to stop it. But I couldn't take that. It just happened. That was his excuse. After everything we had been through together, after all the years of being family, this was what it had come to. I couldn't stay angry forever. I didn't want to carry that kind of weight in my heart. But I couldn't keep him in my life. Not after what he did. And so, I cut him off. Completely. It wasn't an easy decision. But it was the only one I could make. As the days went by, I learned to accept what had happened. I had to. Because nothing was going to change it. Lisa and Chris had made their choices, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my broken life. But here's the thing, I don't regret it. I don't regret walking away from a marriage that